Well, why don't we get started, everybody? We'd like to invite you to open up the chat box if it's not open. And please put your comments in there. We'd like to invite you, if you have your Shabbat candles, to get those ready to light candles in a few moments. We got some time. But hopefully everybody has the new prayer booklet that Jason sent you for this. Does everybody have the new one? If you don't, it's okay. We just made one change for tonight. So if you've got the old one, that works too. And,
Rabbi, I think I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody, okay?
Okay, thank you, Jason. Right, and as we get started, there we go. As we get started, we want to officially welcome Cantor Alyssa Rosenbaum, our new Cantor for Temple Sinai. It's so great to have Cantor Alyssa with us. We give her a warm welcome. We are honored and delighted to have you with us, Cantor, and we'd love to have you start Shabbat for us.
Yes, happy to do that. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So I'm Cantor Alyssa, and I'm very pleased to be joining you all tonight for Shabbat and have some songs to share. So I wanted to start us off with a nigun, and I think nigunim are a really fantastic way of really kind of getting into the mode and the spirit of Shabbat. It's just a wordless melody. So if you're wondering what the words are, you already know them. They're lie, lie, lie. So I know that you're all on mute, but please feel free to join me because it's that's the feeling is singing together. But if I see people's mouths moving, then I'll know that you're feeling what I'm feeling. So please join me. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la la la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la la la. Yai la 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 la.
Thank you, Cantor Alyssa. Thank you. That was lovely. What a great way to start Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, dear friends. Oh, how wonderful it is for all of us to be together tonight on this very special Shabbat where we welcome Cantor Alyssa into our temple community. We are so very excited tonight. We've got a number of surprises tonight, and we're going to get to know Cantor Alyssa, and we're going to celebrate a number of things going on in society today, as well as our holy day of Shabbat, our Jewish day of rest and renewal. We thank God for all the goodness and all the blessings in our lives, and we're feeling so much goodness and blessing tonight. So let us continue. Cantor Alyssa, please, we'd love to have you share with us another song to bring in Shabbat with joy.
Yes, of course. So the next song that I want to share with you all is one that many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. it's Sadi Katamar, and the righteous shall flourish, right? Like a palm tree. Um, so I think that it's really beautiful imagery, and I really love. This is a very classic melody for this song. So please join me.
That's great. And Cantor, Alyssa, I should just mention that for everybody,
Yes.
they can find that on page 5 in their Siddur if they want to follow along with the Hebrew.
Please do. Please follow along and sing along. You'll catch on very easily if you don't already know this one. Tzadikatamar yifra ke'erez balvanon yizkeh shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvim beseiva deshenim verananim Iyu lehadi ki yashar Adonai zuri velo alatabo.
Thank you, Cantor, Alyssa. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. The righteous shall flourish like a palm tree from the Psalms, traditional to sing Psalms to bring in Shabbat. And as we like to say around Tu B'Shvat time, when our tradition talks about the land of Eretz Israel being a land flowing with milk and honey, they are referring to honey not from bees, but from that date palm. So, we are celebrating the joy of Shabbat tonight together. And so speaking of the land of Eretz Israel, so here's what I'd like to do. Raise your hand if you have been to the land of Israel, and in the land of Israel, have you been to the holy city of Sfat? Raise your hand if you've been to the mystical. Look at everybody. Everybody look around and click on your things. Look at everybody who's been to Sfat. It is an art colony. It is the right above the hills of the Galilee, of the Kinneret, and I should say, yeah, that is right above the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee. It's an art colony. It is a city where the Jewish mystics of the 16th century gathered, and there it is. Look at that. And in the 16th century, they had those Egged Israeli buses. Even back then, it was a sight to behold. But you can see the beautiful hills. You can see the hills of Sfat, and you can picture the sun setting in the land of Israel, like it's setting here in Southern California soon. And beautiful blue skies, and then the sun sets and all the colors of the sky. And our ancestors would go out, they'd dress in white to greet the presence of Shabbat like a bride, like a groom, like a beloved one. And they would sing this song that was composed in the 16th century, Lecha Dodi, beloved, come to meet the bride, come to greet Shabbat. So right there in the middle of page 5, we welcome Shabbat like our ancestors did long ago. I see some people wearing white, so you are representing us tonight.
All right, so I think many of you should be familiar with this one. It's credited to the Kol HaNeshama Synagogue. It's a very upbeat Lecha Dodi, and I really enjoy it. So please join me. Lecha Dodi li kakala yadala 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 b'nei Shabbat dekabela. Lecha Dodi li kakala yadala 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 b'nei Shabbat dekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. And here's where if you rise, if you feel like rising, to greet the Sabbath bride towards the door. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha utzola, tochem unei yam segula. Boi chala, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, yalala, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalala, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cantor Alyssa. That was wonderful. Oh, it's bringing back memories too for me. For those of you who have been to Israel, did you head on Shabbat evening? Did you go to the German colony of Jerusalem where there's a Reform synagogue called Kol HaNeshama? And that was their signature song. That was their signature way to greet Shabbat. And when I was in Israel 1,000 years ago in rabbinical school, we had to go to Kol HaNeshama. It was not Shabbat until we went to Kol HaNeshama and sang that version of Lecha Dodi. It's a beautiful one. Well, so many of you know that what we like to do in our virtual Shabbat in the Zoomiverse, what we like to do here at Temple Sinai is play a little something called Show Us Something Cool in Your Home. And we've done it in many locations. We've done it in many people's homes. We've done it here at Temple Sinai with our new beautiful stained glass windows. We did it in Eretz Yisrael. We did it in St. Louis, and my mom showed us something cool in St. Louis. And so we thought it would be so fun to get to know Cantor Alyssa tonight at her debut Shabbat service with us. If Cantor Alyssa would show us something cool in her home. And so, Alyssa, what do you got?
Yes, so happy to share. So I'm going to actually share the screen and show you a picture of it, because the things that I want to show that are in my house, with my setup, I would have to go to them, and I figure it's easier to just share a picture. So I'm going to share this. Hopefully you all can see. Can you guys all see the picture I'm sharing? Yes? Okay. So these are mezuzot that I painted myself. How it happened is that for whatever reason, I think my apartment, my roommate, the person who was here before had left mezuzah on the door, but it kept falling down, so she wanted to return it. And then we were without a mezuzah, and I figured, well, we can't have that. And I realized that I had a couple of these old small boxes just hanging around, and small size, like, small cosmetics, lip balm or travel toothpaste size boxes, right? And I figured, wow, if I were to repaint these, I bet they would be the perfect size to be a mezuzah. So the one in the middle I haven't put up yet, but that one is rimonim, it's pomegranates. I really like the contrast of color, and it's also like a Zohar concept of moving from red to white, and the idea of beauty and rachamim, kindness. So that's one concept that I wanted to include there. The one here on the left is actually, it used to be a tin of cacao nibs from Trader Joe's. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that one. So if you have one, know that it's the perfect size if you feel like painting one. So I decided to make a tree of life, and you'll see on the bottom in the root system, Shin Daled Yud Shaddai, which is one of God's holy names that we call upon. And so I made it all different colors, and that's outside my front door. And then the one on the right here is my favorite one. because it's very personal to me. It has David's lyre on it, which I'm actually wearing a necklace. I don't know if you can see right now, but I'm wearing a David's lyre necklace that I happened to get in Svat last time I was there in 2017 while I was there on a school trip. And so it seemed perfect to me as a piece of musical Judaica to really kind of stand for me and my approach to Judaism with music. So so I painted that and decorated it, and that one's on my bedroom door. And every time I go past the mezuzot that I made, it makes me really happy, and I always notice them in the bright colors that I chose. So yeah, that's something that I've done, and I hope I'll get the chance to do more in the future. I still had a few more boxes saved up, and my plan was to actually plan a program to have other people my age who maybe don't have one, or different age groups who don't happen to have one and would like to get crafty and design their own. It's definitely a passion of mine, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Cantor. Thanks for sharing that. So let's hear it for Cantor, Alyssa, and sharing that. And I saw Jojo Divine said Sacred Pac-Man. We love Sacred Pac-Man. The seniors, the graduating seniors have determined that that's the way to go. So, but we leave it up to you. We have choice. We like to be informed, have informed choice. So how about this? So, Cantor, we love all of those, and you mentioned that you wanted to do a program where, you know, people do this, and I already spoke to Education Director Carolyn Romuso and told her about your fantastic program. So religious school parents and religious school students who are on the line, Cantor, Alyssa, hopefully will be showing you all how to make such beautiful mezuzot.
Yeah, I would love to.
That would be awesome in the upcoming year. So that would be great. By the way, I loved how I don't know if this is purposeful, Cantor, with your David's lyre, and you've got the necklace from Svat. That blue is very much associated with the city of Svat. They actually have a term like Svat blue. And was that purposeful, or it just?
Well, blue is actually my favorite color, and I kept mixing and mixing until I got the color that I felt like was the right tone of blue. So I guess it's just a nice coincidence.
Yeah, that's a great coincidence. It's almost like a Santa Cruz. For those of you who are from California, you've been to Santa Cruz. I think there's like a Santa Cruz blue as well. I used to have a skateboard, and it was a Santa Cruz skateboard, and it was sort of that Santa Cruz blue. So thank you, Cantor, Alyssa. Thank you for sharing that with us. Those are three very cool things in your home. So that was awesome. Well, let us now call upon somebody who usually is behind the scenes during a lot of the things that we have been doing while in quarantine, and that is our communications director, Mr. Jason Marks. And we'd also like to call upon his wonderful wife, Karen, to bring in the light and bring in the warmth and the joy of Shabbat as we turn to page 9. Oh, there they are. Hello, Karen. Hi, Jason.
Hi.
It's nice to see you both. Oh, those are beautiful. Those candles are sort of green.
All right, we said we were each going to light one.
Very nice.
It helps you doing that. How come yours works? Mine don't.
All right, with our Sabbath candles lit, we are on page 9 as Cantor Alyssa shares the bracha, shares the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And thanks so much, Karen. Thank you so much, Jason. And we come now to our family blessing. I gotta do this in 30 seconds. So this family blessing is really unique to Temple Sinai of Glendale. I don't know any other congregation does this family blessing with the melody that we do. When Cantor Alyssa joined us this past February, she transcribed, Cantor, I don't know if that's the right word, but you transcribed, you transcribed this family blessing, you put it into sheet music, And so for the first time ever, we have, thanks to Cantor Alyssa, we now have the sheet music for this family blessing. So we are honored to have you lead us in this family blessing that you now know better than any of us. And we invite everybody to join with their families, if you're with your families there, as we ask God's blessings upon us in the entire world.
Thank you, Rabbi. All right. Please join me. May God bless you and keep you. May He shine His face upon you and praise you. May He lift His presence unto you and grant you peace. May God bless you and keep you. May she shine her face upon you and grace you. May she lift her presence unto you and grant you peace. And grant you peace.
Beautiful. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Well, let's turn now to page 13 in our prayer book, in our Siddur. As you all know, this is one of my favorites. I like to quote a great mystic from the Christian tradition, whose name was Meister Eckhart. And Meister Eckhart once said, if you only said 2 words in your prayers, that would be enough. And those 2 words are thank you. Well, in Judaism, we don't want to leave it at 2 words. We like to talk. So we're going to multiply those 2 words of thank you into many words. So on the top of page 13, I'm going to call an audible. Who would like to lead us in this prayer of gratitude on the top of page 13? Mark Lowenthal is volunteering his wife, Tina.
I'll do it. I got it.
Thank you, Mark.
I got it. We thank you, God, for the gift of life. We thank you for the miracle of each new day, the sunrise and sunset and the moon and the stars. We thank you for the blessing of the family and friends, for all those miracles in our world.
Thank you, Mark. And, Tina, did you want to do the response? Adonai our God?
Adonai our God, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks.
And thank you both. Thank you both for leading us in that beautiful prayer. We appreciate it. Well, I am going to, I'd like to share with everybody something that you may very well know is happening today throughout American society, and that is the celebration of this day of June 19th, which is referred to as Juneteenth in the Black community. And some of you may have been learning about it, and this certainly was my first time learning about it. And I was just fascinated about what this day, June 19th, what it means, what it signifies, what it represents in the African-American community. So June 19th, and again, forgive me if you already know this, but for those of you who don't know, I just want to share with you, Juneteenth celebrates African-American freedom and achievement. On this day, in 1865, slavery in America officially ended. It officially ended. Now, that was 1.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln. But not every state in the Union recognized the emancipation and the freedom of slaves. And Texas was one of the last states to recognize that Black people were indeed freed. by President Lincoln. And so it was on June 19th, 1865, that the Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger landed in Galveston, Texas, with the news that the war had ended and that the enslaved were now free. And I believe they read the Emancipation Proclamation there in Galveston, and it was official now for the entire United States that Black people in this country were finally free. So Juneteenth is celebrated, I learned, and you may have learned this too, through cookouts, through fishing, through playing of baseball, listening of brass bands, the reading of the Emancipation Proclamation parades, speeches, learning, adult education, education throughout the Black community. And it's certainly taking on a new meaning now this year with the racial injustice that we've witnessed in America and we've witnessed for a long time. So we celebrate with the Black community tonight in our Shabbat service for Juneteenth. And we're going to do a couple of things tonight to celebrate with them and commemorate this day. And one of the ways that I'd like to commemorate it with you right now is to share with you one of my favorite, sort of a midrash, one of my favorite legends in Judaism. And that legend is that when it says in the Torah that God created Adam from the dust of the earth in chapter 2 of the book of Genesis, our sages teach us that God took from the four corners of the earth, God took yellow clay and white sand and black clay and red soil from all over the earth to create the first human being. A legend, of course, but what that legend teaches us in Judaism is that humanity is one. People of different colors, people of different races and cultures and ethnicities, we all descend from the original human being that God created. We are all B'Tselem Elohim, in God's image. And so we recognize that tonight, perhaps now more than ever, in our participation in Juneteenth. And to me, it's the fulfillment of the Shema, which we're going to come to on page 14. The Shema teaches us that God is one, and that also teaches us that everything God created is unified as well, can be one, can be united. And certainly human beings created B'Tselem Elohim, in God's image. We are to be one as God is one. So in that spirit, let's now join in the Shema, the declaration of, in the affirmation of our Jewish faith.
Thank you, Rabbi. Please join me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Ha'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Ha'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Well, We now turn to page 15. We come to the Via Hafta prayer, and we are so honored tonight to lead us in the Via Hafta prayer. Are they here? Are Charlie and Gabe Vogel here? There they are. Hey guys, let's unmute you. Oh, I'm gonna try it. There they are. Hey Charlie, hey Gabe, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So it was just this past January that you both became B'nai Mitzvah on the same day. How cool is that?
Awesome.
So guys, what do you think? You ready to do it again? Revisit your B'nai Mitzvah ceremony, and you guys will lead us in the Via Hafta?
Sure.
Awesome. All right, guys, take it away whenever you are ready.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam V'shivtecha b'beitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech u'shachbecha uvkumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'tatafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha le'man tizkeru ba'asitem v'kumitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'oechem Ani Adonai Elohim Asher Hotzeiti Echem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Lehiot Lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohim.
All right, awesome guys. Thank you. Thank you. Do you
You're
guys
welcome.
want to you guys want to see some sacred Pac-Man jazz hands, or this is the new way? You want to see the sacred Pac-Man? All right, that was wonderful, guys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. No
That
problem.
was awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being with us tonight. And I saw your dad. Hey, Andrew. Good to see you too.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Charlie. I'm remembering at their B'nai Mitzvah ceremony the way that they participated together, these two twin brothers, the way that they shared the service, and it was just such teamwork, such collaboration. Remember that, Andrew? It was like I'd never really seen something like that before, so it's great to see it again. So congratulations. We hope you're filled with nachas, right? And we know you're so proud of the boys. And say hi to Christina for us. And so I saw in the chat box a little bit earlier that iPhone Nancy said, and is that Dr. Nancy Cohen, iPhone Nancy, that grew up in Texas, and growing up in Texas, this Juneteenth was a huge thing. I mean, you know, since the 19th century. And iPhone Nancy said that they had music, they had dancing, they had food. It's a real big to-do. So would love to see that holiday, the joy of that holiday really take off this year and the years to come. So along those lines, along the lines of celebrating, and Heather Halpern is saying, and in Atlanta, Georgia, there's a giant celebration at Morehouse College. That's great to hear. And wonderful, wonderful. So we should continue to share stories of anybody who has a Juneteenth story. Please share it in the chat box. So if you were here last Friday night, you will recall that we shared with you a wonderful article by the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, which we support, our social justice, social advocacy group in Washington, D.C. for the Reform movement. And we shared with you 8 ways Reform Jews can act now for racial justice. Oh, thank you. iPhone Nancy is Nancy Weiner. Okay, Nancy, that's great. So we share with you 8 ways Reform Jews can act now for racial justice. And I have been moved very much by number 4 of 8, which is center the voices of people of color. We need to step back and center the voices of people of color and hear their experience, hear their insights, hear their wisdom as to how we can transform our society and make it better and make it more just and compassionate and fair. So I wanted to do that tonight. And Cantor Alyssa wants to do that tonight as well when we come now to our Song of Redemption. So, we're going to get there, but I want to set this up for you. So on page 16, the Micha Mocha is coming, but here's how we're going to get there. So the voice of color that I would like to center tonight is Dr. Therese Johnson. Speaking of Atlanta, Heather mentioned Atlanta. Dr. Therese Johnson is from Atlanta, I learned in doing research about her. She wrote a wonderful book, which I purchased recently, called Ahava. And for those of you who know your Hebrew, and if you know your Ve'ahavta, same word, Ahava means love. By the way, those of you who know your Israeli skin cream, Ahava is the name of an Israeli skin cream company as well, very popular. So Dr. Therese Johnson wrote a book, I think it was in 2017, entitled Ahava. It's a book of poems and readings in her original compositions. And she wrote a poem called Black and Jewish. And it moved me, and I hope it moves you as well. I'm going to read it to you. And if you like this, please check out Amazon and check out her book, Ahava, or go online and you can find some of her poetry there as well. And you could Google her on YouTube and you can hear her speak as well. Very, very, very powerful and very profound. So in Black and Jewish, Dr. Johnson, who is Black and Jewish, wrote, "May we all put aside our differences and work together in love and peace to make a difference in the world. May we never forget the slavery and persecution of our people. We share a common story, Black people and Jewish people, and in Black Jewish people, of course, that is both their stories. We share a common story and a powerful legacy of strength and a powerful legacy of perseverance. Regardless of our differences and similarities, may we continue to collaboratively and positively impact change." And she goes on, Dr. Johnson, "We can all make the world a better place in peace, joy, and love." And in that spirit, we now come to the Micha Mocha. And Cantor Alyssa, I wonder if you can also share with us this really unique version of the Micha Mocha you're going to share with us tonight.
Yeah, happy to. So the version, the setting here that I'm doing for Micha Mocha is, some of you might be familiar with a spiritual called Wade in the Water. And I think it's very relevant because we know by Midrash that the waters didn't part until Nachshon stepped into the water and had that faith, and the Wade in the Water, the story, the lyrics, the song, it comes from the times of slavery when people were fleeing and they were being chased by people who didn't want them to be free, and chased by dogs, and wading in the water was a way that they could hopefully throw the dogs off the scent and escape to freedom. And I think that it's very relevant when you put the two together with Micha Mocha and this particular melody, because they have the slavery thread and the water thread in common, and the trust that you'll make it to freedom. So I think it's a really beautiful melding of the two. So if you're familiar with this melody, I mean, it's very easy to catch on, and I'm fitting the Hebrew into it. And then, towards the end, there's a little bit of English in the in between in the verses, but towards the end, we'll go back to the Wade in the Water original melody. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neda Sar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilo, Dose Felech. Who's that yonder, dressed in red? Wade in the water. It must be the children that Moses led. God's gonna trouble water. Ma'avutecha, Ra'ubanecha, Bokei Hayam, Lifnei Moshe Miriam. Who's that yonder, dressed in white? Wade in the water. It must be the children of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble water. Za'eli, Anu ve'amru, Adonai, Yimloch le'ramba'et. Who's that yonder, dressed in blue? Wade in the water. It must be the children that's coming through. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble water.
Thank you, Cantor. Thank you. That was so beautiful. So beautiful and so meaningful for us to hear. If you all will forgive me, I was telling Cantor Alyssa, I usually say this 2 or 3 times a year, but I want to say it again just because it's just so meaningful to me. My proudest moment, being a Reformed Jew and being Jewish as a part of history, is knowing that the Voting Rights Act of 1964 and the Civil Rights Act of 1965 was drafted in the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism. Dr. King and all the folks who were involved in the civil rights movement, they were, the Religious Action Center opened up their doors in Washington, D.C. So all the folks involved in that legislation and drafting that could have a space to do it. And all I can say is it's my proudest moment as a Reformed Jew and as an American Jew to know the role that Judaism has played in the civil rights movement, and we need to play that role again. We need to return to that partnership that has been integral in American society. And as I mentioned too, the NAACP, which was founded in, I think, before World War II. I don't know if it was the 1930s, the 1920s, maybe it was the 1910s, forgive me. But please know that a number of Jewish people were involved in the founding of the NAACP, an organization that I hope everybody is supporting right now during this time. So we've got a strong connection there. I hope you feel it. I certainly feel it. It's there for us at Passover, at our story of liberation, and we know the story of Passover was so important in the struggle for liberation of Black people in this country, and we helped inspire them, and it's our turn to be inspired, and it's our turn to help out as American Jews have for at least a century. If not longer, certainly longer during the time of the Civil War. American synagogues and Jewish leaders were very much in support of the abolition of slavery. So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do a sermon right now. All of this is just to say how important this all is, and we want to Cantor and I want to translate our prayers and our and the beautiful music and the beautiful words that we're all sharing tonight. We want to translate into action for our community. So may we translate that into action. So, okay, I wasn't planning on doing a sermon. You'll forgive me. I guess it's an occupational hazard. So, but you know what we want to do now? So here's what I'm going to do. So I guess this is what I did. Cantor and I were talking. I said, you know what? I'm not going to give a sermon this Friday night because I think people want to hear from Cantor Alyssa, and I think we want to get to know Cantor Alyssa tonight. And so we thought this would be a great time to do it. So, so Cantor, we were talking, you know, a little bit over the past couple of weeks, and we talked about some things that maybe people might want to hear tonight as they get to know you. We're going to get to know Cantor Alyssa over the years ahead. But I wonder if you could begin by telling us, tell us about your family. Tell us where you come from and tell us about your family.
Sure, happy to do that. So I was actually born in San Diego. We moved when I was 4, so I spent most of my formative years in Northbrook, Illinois. That's where I grew up. So it's one of the northern suburbs of Chicago. So I'm sure many of you will be happy to hear I'm a Cubs fan, lifelong. And and I grew up the youngest of 4. So I have 2 sisters and a brother. And I also grew up with pets in the house. We had 3 cats and a dog. So I really love animals and very close with my family, and definitely try to make it out to the Midwest a couple times a year to see everybody, and that's kind of our home base. But my dad's from here, so so I've got family out here in LA too.
Well, awesome. And you were telling me, Cantor, that you've got an older brother and your 2 older sisters, and you mentioned that Elliot and his wife Karen, they
Carol.
live in the Midwest as well?
Yes, they live in Michigan.
In Michigan, like the Ann Arbor area. And then
Yes.
your older sisters, Becca and Joanna, you mentioned something unique about your 2 older sisters. At this time, there's something unique.
Yes. So they're both engaged and having to, you know, replan and kind of regroup and see how it's all going to go down. So
They want you to sing. They want you to be there for both those celebrations and sing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, actually, a lot of the photo that I'm sure a lot of you could tell that the photo that a lot of you saw in the email newsletter is actually from my brother's wedding, because I was singing at his wedding.
Nice.
I wrote them an Odi Shama that I was singing for them down the recessional when they were leaving the chuppah. So that was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed doing that for them. Yeah, so both of them have been long-term relationships. Becca's been with her fiance for over 10 years. And so, yeah, they're both having to figure out exactly what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. And the plan is hopefully that, you know, Joanna and Ryan will get married, civil ceremony of some kind, and then have the larger celebration when it's possible. So, yeah, we're all kind of just waiting to figure out what's going to go on with that.
Well, that's exciting. Mazel tov. Mazel tov to you and your family. And you mentioned your folks are back in the Chicago area, and your grandmother, Hannah, lives here in LA. Tell everybody how many years young your grandma Hannah is.
She'll be 92 in August.
Awesome.
And she's a Holocaust survivor. And I'm very, very blessed that I was able to come out here. I lived with her for a couple of years while I was in school. And, you know, right now my apartment, I'm only a few blocks away from her, about 10 blocks away. So it's nice to be close by, and I can help her out when she needs it. And she's got a lovely lemon tree in her backyard. So I like to steal some lemons from her. She grants me permission. It's okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure she loves having you so close. And hey, if you ever have, you know, if she got a couple extra lemons on the tree, I'm a huge lemon fan with my green tea. So
she has pomelos too. Those are really
pomelos. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Nice. Well, that is so great to be so close to your grandma and have her here with you. And you know, so something else that you love, in addition to lemons and grandma and the family, you have a real love of languages. Could you tell everybody about your love of languages?
Sure. So some of you might have noticed in my bio, it's I actually when I graduated college, I majored in German and I minored in linguistics. So I'm fluent in English and German, and I'm very capable in a couple other languages too. I know there's Spanish, Italian. I can understand a lot of Yiddish as a result of the German. And I really have a big passion and fascination for Yiddish. And then obviously Hebrew is a big important language for me, biblical Hebrew, and I've been studying some modern Hebrew during quarantine as well, Duolingo. It's been a lot of fun for me. So, and then when I ran out of Hebrew stuff on all the levels on Duolingo, I decided to look up. I wish they had Yiddish, but they don't have Yiddish. However, there was another language on there that really drew my attention. I don't know if has anyone heard of Esperanto before? Anyone is ring? Okay, so a couple people might know. So the idea of Esperanto, and it's a manufactured language, and it was created by a Jewish man, I believe, and I think it was around the 1800s. And he wanted to make a universal language, which is a very lofty and beautiful idea. In practically speaking, it's really not possible to do because languages have branched out in so many different directions. And it doesn't really take into account any Asian or African languages. But I would say that it does have a universality of European languages in some way. And being that I'm fluent in German and I know a lot of Spanish, Italian, and I have a fascination with languages, I actually started learning Esperanto. Not that I'm going to be able to really speak it with much of anyone, but it's just a fun practice for me.
Well, that's so cool. So is there a way to say hello in Esperanto?
Saluton.
Could you do that again?
Saluton.
Saluto. Oh, it sounds like salute. It sounds like Italian.
Saluton. Yeah.
What does salute mean, by the way? Is it like to your health?
Yeah, that's where it originates from, is having to do with health. Yeah.
Okay, neat. So sort of like La Briute. Very nice, very nice. Well, neat. Now, so that's so cool that you have that very eclectic and wide and broad interest in languages. That's wonderful. So I'm looking forward to hearing some Yiddish, and I'm looking forward to hearing German. I love the sound of German. People think I'm crazy when they hear that I like the sound of German. I love the sound of German.
I know a handful of German art songs they're really beautiful. So some of that poetry, it actually, people think that it's a very harsh language, but it actually is a lot softer than you think, and it can be a very romantic, beautiful language, depending on the way it's approached.
Yeah, that's my experience. Yeah, it's one of my favorite sounding languages, and so very cool. Well, now, so you've got this interesting health, interesting hiccup situation.
Yes.
I wonder if you'd share with us how hiccups have been a part of your life recently.
Sure. Well, it's actually been a very long time now. So right around the fall of 2007. I recall the timing because we had a foreign exchange student from Germany staying with us, because I was studying German back in high school. And I happened to notice, you know what, I'm actually hiccuping a lot. I wonder what's up with that. Anyone who's familiar with the TV show Grey's Anatomy, right around that time, there had been an episode where the character's stepmother came into the hospital with hiccups. And spoilers, I'm sorry, but this was a long time ago, but she actually died in that episode. So I'm like, oh my goodness, maybe I need to check this out. So I've had many tests run over the years, CAT scans, PET scans, endoscopy, blood work, MRI, with and without contrast, all the tests, and there so far is no biological explanation that we can see as to why I'm hiccuping every day. But I have been hiccuping every day since then. So and I've tried lots of different supposed cures, and nothing's really worked. So I'm kind of just stuck with it. It's just a quirky little thing about me that I intermittently hiccup throughout the day. So. Once we get to interact in person, you might hear it sometimes, and that's just my hiccup. Usually you'll see this if it means I'm about to hiccup. I can feel it coming. They're very deep. So yeah, that's just something I'm stuck with, and learning to live with it.
Oh, well, we're sorry you're sort of having to, have to deal with that, but it sounds like, it's, and you mentioned it doesn't happen when you sing,
No, it
doesn't happen when you sing. So, and again, all of this is to say also, if you hear Cantor Alyssa hiccuping when you're with her, it's, you know, I don't know if a glass of water helps, or, you know, it's just something that you've been sort of dealing with since you mentioned, you know, for at least over 10 years or so. So, well, we hope it just disappears one day. We hope it just,
Who knows?
wake
Yeah.
up and it just, you don't hiccup anymore. Yeah. So, by the way, people have been putting in the chat. Oh, people have going to give you some cures. So, so you will definitely get a share of ideas and suggestions, and some of them might really work well. Now, I also wanted to mention that when I was talking with Cantor Alyssa over the past a couple of weeks, one of her friends and colleagues and had mentioned to me that she was very spiritual, and it got me curious because I know she's very spiritual, you know, musically and Jewishly, and very passionate about Judaism and Jewish learning and Jewish living. And so I asked Cantor Alyssa, what do you think your friend meant by that? And Cantor, you share with me a sort of a spiritual religious practice that you do pretty regularly, almost pretty much every day. And I was really moved and touched when you shared that practice. And I would wonder, and I, you know, I think people would love to hear what your spiritual practice is, in addition to music and learning about Judaism and other forms of Jewish practice.
Sure. Well, this is something I've actually been doing pretty consistently since I was around 6th grade. I remember that was kind of around the time that I started to pray every night before I went to sleep. And if it's something you haven't done before, you know, I don't think that there's any real set way to do it. I think praying really has to come from the heart, and it just has to be an authentic experience for you. So I started by saying the Hafta every night, and then I started expanding on that and praying for the people in my life and what they might need and what I hope for them. And so that's something that you know, it almost helps me fall asleep. It's kind of hard not to do it. But that's a practice I started to do. And I think what's really beautiful about prayer is that it is actually quite accessible. If you think about it, you know, saying prayer, you know, maybe some people don't, I mean, everybody has different beliefs and kind of runs along a different spectrum in terms of theology, but in terms of prayer itself, I think it's an opportunity to do some checking in the day, and I think that's really good for mental health too. So checking in on yourself and what you're thankful for, and checking in on the people in your life and what you wish and hope for them, and checking in on the world and what you wish and hope that it could be. So that's kind of where I come from with prayer.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's very powerful and deep. And so sort of taking the idea of the bedtime Shema and then adding personal prayers and prayers for people, you know, who are who are in need of healing and being prayed with and for. That's a beautiful idea. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And boy, yeah, what a great way to sort of end the day by connecting with God and connecting with people that you love and care about, who you're thinking of. Sounds like a beautiful way to end the day. So yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I want to share something else with everybody, because again, I was very moved when Cantor Alyssa wrote this to the search committee. So Cantor Alyssa wrote a letter to our cantorial search committee this spring, and in that very moving letter, she said something that really resonated with me, and I thought it would resonate with everybody else in our community. So I asked Alyssa if I could quote her tonight, and Cantor Alyssa said yes. So I'll share with you what she wrote in that very moving letter to our search committee. Among other things, she said, "I am always eager to get to know the people who come to temple and to connect with them." And then she said, "I feel it is crucial to foster a Hamish environment in a synagogue by making people feel welcome and that their presence is always appreciated. And that really resonated with me. That really moved me, and it certainly moved all the members of our search committee. And I'm wondering, Cantor, if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So when it comes to my experience of Judaism is pretty broad, kind of across the spectrum. My school is trans-denominational, so I'm being trained across all different veins of Judaism, denomination-wise. And although I obviously wouldn't be accepted as leading the prayer services in the Orthodox community, but we learn really across the spectrum, which I think is really beneficial for me. I think that's the approach that I come from, where, ultimately, it's not about like where I end up. It's not about what denomination. It's about people, and it's about connecting with people and building community together, and in a Jewish experience that everyone can take part in. So that I will say that I really did get. I was only there once in person at Temple Sinai of Glendale over there in February, but I definitely did get that feeling, that kind of Hamish environment of everyone knowing each other and welcoming each other and schmoozing during Oneg. And I really did get that feeling. And not every place has it, or not every place fosters it in the same way. And people can get closed off or guarded, or people can, we have new people sometimes will come in, and if they're not, welcomed by someone, then they're going to be kind of shut down and shut off from that. And I think it's a shame. It's a missed opportunity. So I really do feel that inclusion and welcoming and building that Hamish environment is paramount when it comes to how we deal with people in the Jewish community, and making people feel welcome is really a part of that.
Well, that's great. Thank you. And we certainly feel the same way. And people, in our community have told us that, when they go travel to visit family, or they want to celebrate Shabbat somewhere, they'll go to a synagogue and they will come back invariably and say, nobody came up to say hello. It felt so cold. It felt, and I see people shaking their heads, and I think that is one of the great blessings of Temple Sinai. We definitely lead with the warm and welcoming and Hamish environment. So Hamish, so there it is. There's a good German Yiddish word.
Exactly.
For those of you who don't know what Hamish means, Cantor, Alyssa, will you translate?
It's comfortable. It's the feeling of being at home.
Nice, comfortable, homey. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we hope you find this to be very comfortable, and we hope you find this to be your spiritual home as it is for us. Thank you for sharing all that, Cantor, Alyssa. We're going to continue to get to know Cantor, Alyssa in the weeks and months and years ahead. And Cantor, I just want to say, as you're getting ready to share something with us right now, may your experiences at Temple Sinai, may they always be filled with warmth, and may they be filled with joy, and may your experiences at Temple Sinai be filled with goodness and be filled with blessing and the presence of the divine and the best of Judaism and our loving community.
Amen.
So,
thank you.
Amen.
Yes, amen. Oh, and you know what? Can we unmute people along those lines, and everybody wish Cantor, Alyssa, say hi and wish her well?
Good job.
We'll unmute.
Welcome.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you. So shout out, I think my parents are here. And especially shout out to my dad, because he was the one who always took me to shul with him, and he's a big reason why I'm here.
That's awesome. You
Good job, Dad.
shared that story with me. And by the way, Jason, can we find, would it embarrass your dad if we spotlighted your dad right now?
I'm not sure if he's got his video on, so I don't know.
But he's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
David Rosenbaum, you'll see. Yeah.
Well, hi, Mr. Rosenbaum. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Oh, there he is.
What?
Hi. Oh, I like that. I wondered whose thing that was. It looked like baby.
Yeah, it's I think it's the microphone, the webcam's automatic image, I think, when it's turned off.
Oh, right. Well, so great to have your dad with us, and please tell your family to join us again, and please join us anytime.
Yeah.
for
So I just want to, and yeah, I especially wanted to shout out to my dad because it's Father's Day this weekend. So yeah.
yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. Yeah, you were sharing that you'd go to shul with your dad and how meaningful and loving that was. Just a touching story. And as you said, you compose original Jewish music, and
Yes.
we would love to hear tonight one of something that you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, love to. So original Jewish music especially, but original music is a real passion of mine and something I love to do in my spare time. So this particular one is derived from Hashkivenu. It's focusing in really on the line Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, shelter us with your peace. And then the rest of it is English words that kind of came to me as an authentic expression of prayer. So this is Shelter, Ufros Aleinu. And if you do feel like joining along, the chorus is Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, shelter us with your peace. So you can feel free to sing along at home on that. We need your strength tonight, as we do every night. Shelter us. Please grant us peace of mind, all worries far behind. Shelter us. Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Please guard this night of rest. Let it be one that's blessed. Shelter us. Let us lie down in peace. Let pain and violence cease. Shelter us. Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Amidst uncertainty, we need security. Please shelter us.
Thank you, Cantor. That was beautiful. So beautiful. Well, I think one of your lyrics was "Night of Blessing." Did I hear that right? Was that
Please
one of
guard
your...
this night of rest, let it be one that's blessed.
Oh, guard this night of rest, let it be one that's blessed. Well, this night is certainly blessed, and we are so blessed to have you in our temple community. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Again. And well, in that spirit of what Cantor Alyssa just offered us, let's spend a few moments now in our own very personal and silent prayer as we connect with the divine, as we connect with life, as we connect with the blessings in our lives, and open our hearts, open our souls to the source of life, to God, and to the world in our very own personal silent prayer or contemplation.
Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you. Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom b'romah, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al Israel, ve'imeru, ve'imeru, amen.
As you were singing that, Cantor Alyssa, I was looking at some of our choir members, our High Holiday choir members. You all do this for High Holy Days. Don't you do that one? Yeah. Yeah, I recognize it. Oh, it's beautiful.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That was wonderful. Well, Jason, now why don't we, sort of spotlight page 22 in our Siddur. Page 22 in our Siddur, of course, our thoughts now turn to people that we know who are sick or injured, and people who are in need of a healing of body and a healing of spirit. So we pray for them now with this Misha Berach prayer.
Misha Berach Avoteinu, Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
So at this time, friends, we invite you to please put the names of people you know and love and care about who are in need of healing. If you'll put their names in the chat box as we think of each and every one of them. This prayer is for them, and we all share in it together. I think of all of them. And we also think of our temple members who are in need of healing, our family members who are in need of healing. I'm thinking of my mom, Marcia Schechter, continued healing and strength. And we think of these family members, these temple members, and these friends and coworkers who are all in need of healing, as we now continue our prayer of healing together.
Mishabera imoteinu mekor habracha la'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We pray that they are all healed. And friends, we know also people who are in need of healing in American society and throughout the world are people of color who are so very much in need of healing, and their lives in need of transformation for justice and for peace and for compassion. And so I'd like to share with everybody tonight, as we celebrate and commemorate Juneteenth, and we link our love and we link our hearts with people of color. And by the way, I did a little research on this. The Jewish people of color here in America are estimated to be over 100,000, about 2% of the Jewish community in America. And the Jewish community at Brandeis recently was estimated to be 7.5 million Jewish Americans. And of those, 2% are Black people of color. And so that's about 150,000. And then if you think of the Ethiopian Jews in Eretz Yisrael, which is also over 100,000, we have over 200,000 Jewish brothers and sisters. And then we add the millions of people of color who are also our siblings, in humanity. And so tonight, as we prepare for the Kaddish prayer, I'd like to read a Kaddish prayer that was written, a poem that was written for Black Lives by the Jewish Multiracial Network. There are a number of organizations, Jewish organizations, that have been founded by people of color, and I encourage you to explore them and learn about them, and the Jewish Multiracial Network is one of them. So, so Jason, if you'll please put up their Kaddish for Black Lives, and particularly on this Juneteenth that we commemorate today with Black people here in America. We pray, Creator of life, source of compassion, your breath remains the source of our spirit, even as too many of us cry out that we cannot breathe. Lovingly created in your image, the color of our bodies has imperiled our lives. And we all know that to be true for any person of color. We know that to be true. Black lives are commodified, yet devalued. We know that to be true. Imitated, but feared. Exhibited, but not seen. Black lives have been pursued by hatred, abandoned by indifference, and betrayed by complacency. Black lives have been lost to the violence of the vigilante, the cruelty of the marketplace, and the silence of the comfortable. We, friends, we understand that Black lives are sacred, inherently valuable, and irreplaceable. We know that to oppress the body of the human is to break the heart of the divine. We yearn for the day when the bent will stand straight. We pray that the hearts our country will soften to the pain endured for centuries. We will do the work. May we do the work to bind up the wounds, to heal the shattered hearts, to break the yoke of oppression. As the beauty of the heavens is revealed to us each day, may each day reveal to us the beauty of our common humanity. And together, let's all say, Amen. And it is in that spirit tonight that we remember for blessing George Flood and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. And we remember all people of color whose lives were taken because simply they were people of color. We remember them, and we remember our loved ones who have passed, our family members who have died, our friends, members of our community, members of every race and nation who are a blessing to humanity. We remember them and we honor them now through our memory and through our prayer. As I mention the name of a loved one who has passed, I invite you to please stand, and then we'll all stand together to recite the Kaddish prayer. In addition to the names of George Flood, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, we remember Stephen Strauss. We remember Donald Allen Pocock. We remember Susan Goldsmith and Dr. Merrill Goldman. Cecilia Carpenter. We remember Alan Loybin and Patricia Jacobson. We remember Florence Schwartz and Claire Cohen. We remember Peggy Nichols, Lance Gershon, Simone Roman. We remember Debbie Blake and Rachel Gottlieb, Rabbi Marvin Gross, Susan Solomon, Letitia Sierra, Asher Fawcett, and Marilyn Roberts. And for those who are observing Yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one commemorated this week, we remember Glenn Welch. We remember Kathy Fair, Millie Highland. We remember Leonard M. Levin, Rebecca Kistenberg Schneider, Leonard Strauss, and Lucy Goodman, Jacob Cohn, Louis Klein, Israel Kornfeld, Andrew Levy. We remember Paul Whalen and Oscar Winkelstein. And we invite you now to list in the chat box to please name people that you remember at this time. Yes, and I hope people are looking in the chat box and seeing those names, and also seeing the name of Andrew Goodman, one of the Jewish people, one of the freedom riders, as it's written so eloquently, a Jew pursuing justice for his fellow Black citizens. Thank you for sharing that name. Well, we think of all of those who have passed, who we have mentioned. We thank God that they were with us. We thank God they were with us with the Kaddish prayer found on page 24. As together we rise, and as together we pray. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divarach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קרי, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn. May we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, amen.
Please join me in a prayer for peace, Oseh Shalom, found at the end of the Kaddish prayer. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael.
Well, at this time, we are honored to call upon Board Officer and Recording Secretary, Ms. Pat Smith.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi, for a really meaningful service, and thank you, Cantor, and welcome. And I want to thank my Bima buddy, my husband, Steve, and my cat. So this has been a wonderful, wonderful service, and thank you all you Zoomsters for being there with us. We just have a few announcements tonight. One is that tomorrow morning at 10:30, we will have our Minyan and Torah study. And then on Mondays at 7 and Thursdays at 1, we have a community schmooze and Zoom event. And then on Tuesdays at 7, Rabbi has been hosting a spiritual nourishment program. Now, next weekend is a special one too, because we will be welcoming, I believe, the new board. And at the end of this event this evening, we can thank Maggie and Jan Fried, our current president, Maggie, for sponsoring a virtual ONEG. And I'd just like to let you know that you also can sponsor one if you'd like. Just make a donation online and include a note that it's for the virtual ONEG, and you can designate it for the general fund or for any of the funds listed. Thank you all so much, and please join us afterwards for our virtual ONEG groups. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, Pat. Thank you. And I loved when you said your Bima buddies, your husband and your cat. That should go viral. That should go viral. How many times can you say that?
I just have a feeling that people could see she was draped around my shoulders rather uncomfortably for a good part of the service.
Oh, well,
There
that's
she is.
great. That's the way to do it. See,
Yeah.
one of the blessings
Shabbat,
of
kitty.
Shabbat at home is you get to be with your animals and your pets and your loving furry family
Husband.
members.
And
There he
remember,
is.
Steve,
Oh,
we were bad at the
what's your kitty's name?
well, it depends what she's done recently, but it's Little Gurley after Todd Gurley, the football player, or Demon Seed. So it just depends.
Oh, wow, that's quite a that's quite a
Accurate
spectrum.
represents the quality that is cat's personality.
Nice range.
All right, well, thank you. And thanks to everybody participating tonight. And I just wanted to also follow up with what Pat said about the Tuesday Spiritual Nourishment and Connection class. We've been having great conversations. We're looking at 12 activities that you can do at home with family, by yourself, to increase your well-being, to increase your resilience and your happiness. And we looked at savoring, how to savor experiences. We looked at that this past Tuesday, and we had such a great discussion. We want to continue on. So please join us this Tuesday at 7. We'll talk about how to savor experience in our lives, and we'll talk about some other great practices that are grounded in Judaism and the science, scientific research. And Cantor, do you have a Kiddush cup there? Do you have your...
I have a regular glass of wine.
That works. Perfect.
I'll work on getting that Kiddush cup sometime soon. But a regular glass is sufficient. Speaking of savoring, this is a very delicious kosher wine. So yes. If everyone who has, if you want to grab your wine, your grape juice, I'll give you a quick second here. Lead in the Kiddush, just the short Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. L'chaim. All right. Well, we've got our virtual Oneg in just a moment. And Cantor, Alyssa, we know you've chosen a wonderful closing. So, I am so excited. You're going to be so excited. I'm not going to give anything away. But Cantor, Alyssa, we got a very special closing song you've chosen tonight.
Yes. So I've chosen Adon Olam, which, I mean, many of you know the Adon Olam, but it can be the wonderful thing about Adon Olam is the structure of it really can align with many, many different songs. And so it is one of the most frequent ones that we get, a frequent candidate for contrafaction, for taking any other kind of melody and setting it to it. So this particular melody is my favorite for Adon Olam, and I hope you enjoy it as well. I like to jokingly say it's by Cantor's Simon and Garfunkel. So this is to the tune of the Scarborough Fair Canticle. So if you've got your last page of the Siddur, should be page 26, I believe, and sing along with me, Adon Olam. Adon Olam Hashem Allah B'terem kol yitzir nivra Liyed naseh b'chatzo kol Azay malach shemo nikra Be'acharei kiklot hakom Levado yimloch nora Be'hu hayom be'hu havad Be'hu yiyeh b'tifara Be'hu echad yein sheni Ve'hamshilo ve'achbira Beli reishit beli tachlit Ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamisra Be'yado mafkir ruchi V'yeti sham ve'ya'ira
Adonai li v'lo ira.
All right. All right. That is awesome. That's the first time I've ever heard Adon Olam to Simon and Garfunkel. That was great. We hope you all enjoyed that. And keep them coming, Cantor, Alyssa. Keep it coming. That is fantastic. Thank you so much. And Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, Cantor, Alyssa.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat shalom.
See you at Sonic.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I did.
Oh, Mom and Dad.
Hello.
We're out of that.
That's what.
Do it? You didn't do it. How do you? Oh, there we go.
That was coming off. I'm trying to leave the meeting.
Are we up?
Oh, what's happening?
Jason, you love mixing it up, don't you?
This must be being around more people
I think
to
this
us.
is
Hey, they
Hi,
have
everybody.
Hello.